Hey guys, welcome back to Minecraft The Lost Journals. Today we're reading chapter 25, which is titled Alice and Max Wish They Ran Track in High School. In school. Starts on page 229 and goes to page 238. If you guys have enjoyed this novel so far, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more Minecraft The Lost Journals. Without further ado, chapter 25. As they checked their equipment and re-dyed themselves, Allison thought back to the stories Grandma Dia had told her. She wondered how many of the wild and then my sheep got lost, and I had to go far away to find them stories that Allison had heard had been cleverly disguised nether stories. Tears pricked her eyes again as she wished her grandma was still around. Where are we going to build this? Max asked. Right outside? We built it wherever we can find the lava source, Nicholas said. We're not hauling the obsidian back here, no point. We'll just hope we avoid any attacks along the way. Freya shook her head sharply, testing the string on her bow. You don't avoid attacks in the nether. You fight them, delay them, or hide until you starve. I usually choose to fight. Allison handed Freya the last bow. I will be so glad to get home. She wondered how life would be different now, with Nicholas back, trying to reconcile with Max's family, and Max working to learn more enchanting with his uncle. She felt an unexpected double-edged pang of jealousy, since Nicholas returning would give Max another adventuring partner, and Max would have gotten his wish, and his family member returned, while she was still alone. She shook her head. She wasn't going to begrudge Max's beloved uncle, and besides, she could have to help Freya get acclimated to wherever she wanted to settle. When we get back to the overworld, what are you going to do? Allison asked Freya, who sat with her pack on the floor against the wall, petting Bunny Biter. What do you mean? You don't have any family or home, do you? Did you have a plan? Allison paused, and when Freya didn't answer, she said, You could come live with me. I don't have much of a place. My house needs rebuilding, but I could use the company. Max will be busy with Nicholas for a while, I expect. I think his family should figure out how they work together on their own. They have some fences to mend. Was still silent. Allison raised her head to see what was wrong. Freya had buried her face into Bunny Biter's fur, and the wolf made a low whine in her throat. Freya? I've been worried about returning to the overworld. Maybe I'll just stay here, Freya said. But there's no reason. Yes, there is. If I am here, then I'm always busy fighting for my life, and I don't have to face the fact that I'm alone. When I don't have constant mob attacks to worry about, then I have to worry about my reality. My family is gone. Pity and all too familiar ache rose in Allison's chest, and she put a hand on her friend's arm. I know what you mean, but you're not alone anymore. You have us, she said. Freya lifted her face from the fur. She looked vulnerable and very sad, and Allison realized just how alone Freya had been. Freya took a deep breath, then nodded. All right, I'll live with you. You'll need someone to protect you from those creepers. Seems your area is infested with them. There's the old Freya. Allison grinned wider and started to figure out what she could carry in her nearly full pack. There were a lot of things to take back home. She glanced across the room to Max and Nicholas. They were poring over books and speaking in low voices, with a bow between them. Allison checked her equipment to make sure they weren't enchanting her bow. Good. It was in her pack already. The enchanting table hissed, and Nicholas groaned. Do not pick that up, he commanded, and swept the bow off the table using a stick. Allison sighed and hoped they would make it home in the first place. I don't want you fighting, Nicholas said, flipping through an enchanting book. What? I've been doing fine so far, Max protested. His uncle had been in an increasingly parental mood since they had reunited. Max had once wondered how his uncle and his mom could be siblings, but now he saw it. Yes, and you've been hit several times, Nicholas said, pausing to look up and point to the nicks and scorch marks on armor Max's armor that showed his past few days' adventures. You will wear that armor until the last hit, when it will fail, and then it will disintegrate. After that, what are you going to do? Ask the moms to wait a moment while you run out of battle to put more armor? Max shrugged. That was exactly what he had planned. He could change armor and weapons pretty quickly. We will need to make it through this, and then we can figure out a way to carefully damage the armor to get it off you safely, Nicholas said. Until then, you need to stay out of their line of fire. Freya just wanted to dangle me in the lava to burn it off, Max said bitterly, but thinking that might be a better choice than just sitting around waiting for it to rot off. That is about as good idea as sending you into battle with leather armor, Nicholas said. Then what am I supposed to do? Just wear this for the rest of my life? Max said, exasperated. No, when we get back home, we can push you down several times until the armor just pops off, Nicholas said. Max stared at him. I can't tell if you're kidding. The mood was not as upbeat as they'd like when they left the fortress. Weighed down by considerable supplies and extra equipment, Max was highly distracting, running purposefully into the walls and nearly pitching himself down the stairs before Allison grabbed his arm. I regret suggesting this, Nicholas said, closing his eyes as Max fell flat on his face and got back to his feet. Max ran ahead, followed by Nicholas and Allison, with Freya bringing up the rear. It could work, Allison said doubtfully. But what happens if only part of the equipment pops off? Exactly, Nicholas said. Allison sighed. We're in danger, and you suggested he run into the walls until the armor falls off? To be fair, I suggested he do it when we get home. We should stop him, Allison said. We don't want him charging at more magma cubes. Speaking of magma cubes, Nicholas caught sight of about 4 of them far to the left, leaping up and down a cliff as if gravity didn't apply to them. The group elected to skirt around them widely to avoid catching their attention. Allison was interested in trying her pit trap idea again if she were to encounter more magma cubes, but they all agreed that not engaging was the best plan. We avoided that fight. Allison told Freya as they left the danger behind them. Sure, until the next time, Freya said, aiming her bow at a zombie pigman wandering around nearby. It ignored them, and she slowly relaxed. So, about the wither skeleton prison, Freya said, and Nicholas turned to her as Max fell in at his uncle's side. It was highly complex and probably too much effort if the pigmen could get out like that, he said. But when they started spawning in my storage room, I built a tunnel to the mushroom farm. They'd follow the tunnel and get trapped in the prison. Why didn't you just take down the mobs? Max said, panting slightly. His uncle looked at him like the answer was obvious. Because I'm a builder, and it's easier for me to build a tunnel and a trapdoor than fight a room full of wither skeletons. But that doesn't make sense, Max said. You're still dealing with monsters in your storage room before they decide to wander down the tunnel, and you get more and more monsters. But killing them where they come from means only fighting once. Not much down here makes sense, Nicholas said. Max's armor starting to chafe. Actually, it had started to chafe hours before. Right now it was downright painful, and his body was bruised from falling down so much. It sounded like good logic, getting rid of the armor before a fight, but now he was sore and it showed no sign of weakening. His uncle wouldn't let him do much more than that. There was too much danger. If the armor absorbed just a little bit of a blow before it fell off, his body would take the rest of the attack damage. And that didn't sound like fun at all. He shifted, trying to readjust the cursed pieces, and gritted his teeth. If he complained about it, they'd all say that he had brought it on himself, which he had done, but that was beside the point. He wasn't sure what the point was anymore. He had his uncle back. He just wanted to get home. The annoying armor situation was starting to get to him, and the heat wasn't making his frustration any easier to bear. A bed of sweat rolled down his forehead and into his eye. He gave his eyes an irritated rub, and when he looked back up, he saw a magma cube hopping toward him from the top of the hill. Max and Uncle Nicholas ran up the hill, hitting the occasional magma cube that hopped into their path. Uncle Nicholas had said that if you struck them as they were about to land on you, then you could bat them away, damaging them in the process. He missed Bonebane's enchantment that had to use sheer force to make the cube sail into the distance, but it was a good way to vent his frustration. Whacking the things made fights much easier as long as they were alert. Frey and Allison took care of any blazes that threatened them from afar, warning Max and Nicholas when incoming fire got too close. Bunny Biter chased and wrote encroaching mobs away. The whole adventuring in the nether thing was getting easy. All they had needed was a group of four and some solid weapons. At the top of the hill, Nicholas pointed. There. They'd see the glow of the lava from behind the hill, but now it was truly impressive. It was a truly impressive landscape. The canyon ended in a sunken lava pool with another rack all around, fire geysers erupting nearby and lava falls spewing from a wall above the pool. When a fire geyser erupted right in the front of the pool, Max and Allison shouted in an alarm, both pointing. An unfinished portal already stood there, one full corner created. Max wondered who had abandoned the project, or what terrible person had attacked the frame with a diamond pickaxe. Regardless, it was more of a portal than they'd ever had before. I didn't think we'd make it, Allison said, relief and happiness in her voice. And it's already started for us, Freya said, noticing the obsidian too. The only thing is, what happened to the person who started to build that in the first place? Allison asked. Maybe they changed their minds, Max said, and Allison glared at him. I think we have a good idea of what happened, Nicholas said, quietly, pointing to a pack and a diamond pickaxe lying next to the unfinished portal. So we'll be on the lookout, Freya said, patting her wolf. No big deal. A little late for that, Nicholas said, and I think we should run to get out of here as soon as possible. He was facing behind them instead of at the portal ahead, and they could ask why. He turned and extended his arm, shepherding them all down the hill. Behind them, Max could hear a chilling scream. He took a chance and glanced backward, seeing a floating white body crest the hill, heading right for them. There's no cover. Where are we going? Fred yelled. Right now, I'd rather close the portal than far from it, Max said. Come on, kids, stop arguing and run, Nicholas called. I read what Grandma Dia wrote, Allison said, running beside Nicholas. This is a ghast, isn't it? The scream was terrifying, sounding like a wailing babies who were screeching their nails down an ice block, while a ghast was chasing them. A whoosh sounded, and Allison cried, Duck! They all crouched lower, still trying to run. The fireball heated Allison's exposed neck, but it missed them. Their luck turned immediately when the fireball kept sailing ahead, straight for the portal. No! Max shouted, but it clipped the portal on the side and bounced away to sail across the lava. I forgot obsidian, that Max said. Allison felt fear claw at her throat, and the sheer terror of the ghast reminding her of creepers. How are we going to fight and build at the same time? She asked, slowing. Max ran back and grabbed her hand. It's not a problem. We can split up. We're a good team. Some can build, some can fight. We have lava, we have water, we have a pickaxe, we have people who can build. But first, we have to stay alive. Then we have to finish building it. Then we can get out of here, he said, and pulled her into a run. They ended up right on the edge of the lava pool next to the portal. Nicholas stood with the diamond sword raised, with Allison her bow, and Max and his new, unenchanted sword behind him. Fred climbed to the top of the small hill to the left and started losing arrows at the ghast. It shot another fireball, making them all duck. It sailed straight through the portal's frame. If it was complete, we would go through it right now, Max shouted. Yeah, and Allison said, but then interrupted herself. Duck! They had taken their eyes off the ghast while looking at the portal, and now narrowly avoided being hit by another fireball. We have to take care of that ghast, Freya said grimly, shooting more arrows. It was getting closer now, but at least that made a bigger target. She hit true a few times, and ghast deflated and went down in a pile of white flailing tentacles, and then it was no more. Max leapt into the air, pumping his fist and shouting, Yeah! Freya grinned at him before turning to Allison. Allison, go loot the tears, Freya said, before Bunny Biter eats them. Allison took a furtive look around and ran out to find anything that ghast may have dropped. Is everybody all right? Nicholas asked, looking them all over anxiously. Yeah, Max said, panting. Now what do we have to do about the portal? Nicholas pointed to a crack in the wall from where the lava streamed. We need to get up there and get some water into the lava, then mine it. Oh, is that all? Allison said, handing Freya the white tears that had hovered over the gasped body. I'm on it. No problem, Max said, building steps into the hole in the cliff. Hey, everybody, Freya said, her voice way too calm for Allison's comfort. It's not over. Across the nether landscape, they heard the screams of more approaching guests. That wraps up chapter 25. I hope that you guys enjoyed. And if you did, hit that like button, and I will see you next time.